Hey everyone, welcome. Can you believe that's already 5 years since Shimano launched their LinkGlide technology? It was 2021 when we first heard about the Ore and XT, and then later on it was Shimano CUES that I covered on my channel in quite a few videos. Today I have the U8000, a more expensive cassette with me. Also have a U8000 brake that I'm gonna look at, and we're gonna talk about whether Shimano is done releasing products for LinkGlide and how they fit into the market in 2026. And as a quick refresher, LinkGlide promised the 300% more longevity, and they also promised shifting or smooth shifting under power. And you can see my U6000 shifting down the cassette here smoothly, but a bit slower compared to the technology of Hyperglide Plus. This would be more for racing, 12 speed, when you are prioritizing fast shifting, whereas LinkGlide, that's the Ore, XT, and CUES, this is longevity, this is e-bikes, and as you're gonna see in a second, this is a drop bar. So with LinkGlide, Shimano has done what no other group set that they have was capable of doing. So they bridged the gap between flat bar or MTB and drop bar. So think about gravel, road, commute, whichever type of bike you might want to use. How they've done this is fairly simple. They unified the pull ratio of their shifter and derailleur, and they made it a 1-to-1. Then all the steps on the cassettes, and you see it here on the screen, from 9 to 11 speed are identical. So you can pick a 9, 10, 11 speed shifter and it's going to work with a 9, 10, 11 speed cassette. Yes, you have different group sets covering those different number of speeds, but they all use an 11 speed chain. And you see here my IBN chain being used on that U6000 group set. You could consider that U6000 the true workhorse of Shimano LinkGlide, especially since you can get drop bar shifters, the 6130s, both in black and silver, that would work with any of the cassettes. The only caveat to all this goodness and e-bike compatibility is the fact that their components are fairly heavy. And if you look here at the U6000 cassette, you can see that it is built using rivets and the weight is quite high. Now for many applications that might not matter as much, but if you are interested in something lighter, here comes the U8000. Now they involved an aluminum spider. They still have rivets connecting these last two cogs. This is an 11 to 50 tooth cassette. They use the good old Hyperglide free hubs. So from a compatibility standpoint, this can go back to the 80s and you can still install it on a bike like that. This is still entirely made out of steel, but by involving the aluminum spider, the weight drops to 618 grams or so versus the 720 of the U6000 that I just showed you. So if you want to save 100 grams or so, the U8000 cassette might be a great option. Mind you, with a 300% increase in longevity, you might not have to replace your components as often as you might think. Now I mentioned e-bike compatibility, and don't be fooled, these are not necessarily for e-bikes. You can see a lot of the entry-level MTB, commuter bikes, and take a look at this Specialized that my buddy just bought. That's a gravel bike that's using a full drop bar CUES group set. On my beater bike hardtail, I used an M6000, so that's the Dior level brakes, 2-piston that perform very well. But these days you can get a fully LinkGlide or CUES equipped bike. And what I have here is a CUES brake set. Now take a look at this 4-piston caliper right next to my XT. That's the M8120. So a 4-piston caliper from Shimano. You can see how they are pretty much identical. This is still made in Japan. They still use the mineral oil But the big difference is right here at the lever. What they've decided to do is to give you the 3-finger brake lever, and they decided not to provide the I-SPEC EV for these brakes. That's why you see the clamp here for I-SPEC 2. You can see the same ceramic pistons being used. The pads are the classic 4-piston Shimano, so you can install finned pads on these calipers, no problem. Weight of the rear brake with 1.7 meter hose is at 305 grams, and if you add the front brake with the 950 millimeter hose, total comes to 593 grams for the set. And I guess we can call these the old style brakes right now. So they use the good old Shimano red oil, not the lighter weight oil that they use with the new brakes launched with Di2. And talking about Di2, when they launched the MTB group sets, part of that release were some LinkGlide components, specifically shifter and derailleur. So what that means is that now you can have LinkGlide with Di2. Now, don't be fooled, these LinkGlide Di2 derailleurs don't have batteries in them, only because these are e-bike specific. Power only comes from the e-bike battery. But again, it shows you how Shimano now released these products into all their forms. So chances are you're gonna see LinkGlide components all over the place. So again, what is Shimano CUES? Shimano CUES is supposed to be the OEM version of all these LinkGlide components. They are supposed to provide us with a lot of options that should only be seen on already built bikes. Indeed, if you go to my local Sport Check, you're gonna see products that do use Shimano CUES, either 10 or 11 speed. I do have a playlist talking about Shimano CUES. I'm gonna make sure to link it up in the corner. But in a nutshell, LinkGlide or CUES, all components are interchangeable, the same pull ratio. You have a Dior 10 speed, you have an XT 11 speed, then you have the U4000, 6000, 8000 of CUES. They are all interchangeable. Just keep in mind 9 speed 1, so the 4000 is the only group set that doesn't have a clutch. The rest of them, they are clutch equipped. They do have cranks. They do have a 2-by option if you're after something like that. U6000 also gives you the drop bar version of this, and looks like with the newly released Shimano group sets, they're introducing more components that would be LinkGlide compatible, like that 1136 cassette with the new Ultegra. So don't shy away from something like this. Take a look at my many videos talking about the details of every component, how to install, and also compatibility. If you want a fancier shifter, go for the XT. Use a proper chain. Make sure you take care of that chain lubrication because it's more important than you might think. And otherwise, I can highly recommend CUES LinkGlide components to anyone that doesn't want to spend a lot of money but wants longevity. If you look at the feedback in my other videos, you're gonna see a lot of e-bike users being very, very happy with LinkGlide type components. U8000 gives you more refinement to finishes and lower weight. But otherwise, something like U6000, it's amazing. We've been using it, this is year 3, and only now the derailleur looks like it needs a little bit of help, greasing the clutch and taking care of it. It's a beater bike, that's exactly what we've done with it. So what do you guys think? Have you ever looked at Shimano LinkGlide? Are you excited about that other technology that Shimano provides? It's very similar to SRAM type, by the way. Let me know in the comments below. Let me know if you have any questions. If you need any of these components, take a look at buycomponents.ca. My friend Paul has a lot of options to offer these days. So hope you liked this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. It really helps my channel. And until next time, hope to see you folks on the trails, riding whatever group set you prefer these days. Cheers, guys. Cheers.